What's going on, Walden Sports fam? Today we have a very special guest with us, Dr. Dumbbell.
Hey guys!
What's going on, Dr. Dumbbell?
I'm here to talk about fats. So, in our last video we briefly mentioned fats and promised you an in-depth video on the importance of them, the different types of them, and how your body works with them. So, here I am, Dr. Dumbbell. Doctor is actually my first name. I'm not a real doctor, but to start off, fats, your body takes them a lot differently than it would protein or carbohydrates. The three main macronutrients, and your body processes them all differently. So when you think of fats, your first thought is, like corn dogs, French fries, hamburgers. But
I love burgers.
Who doesn't love a good burger, except for vegans? But there's even vegan burgers, so hell, we can all have one. Alright, so to start, fats, they're found in various cells and perform a lot of different functions. They're important for energy storage, membrane structure, and for vitamins and hormones. And there's a lot of important parts to fats, so you do need some in your diet. So typically we think of fats, we think of the long chain fatty acids. Those are your typical fats you get. Here's the structure of it. Some various typical fat structures. You see it's a long chain with a little with this COOH group on the end. I think I got that right. Good old chemistry knowledge. I'm not a real doctor. So the main thing with fats is, especially the long chain fatty acids, is they're not water soluble. The carboxylic acid part of them, which is that end part, the end group, is water soluble, but this long chain is not. Alright, and so most of them are not water soluble, but some are a little more water soluble than others, and we'll get into that in a bit. I'm not a doctor, but because most of these fats are not water soluble, they go through a pretty intricate process in your body to digest them so that your body can absorb the different nutrients. Now, there's a big long process which you can look up, but the important part is in the end, your body breaks the triglycerides down into some free fatty acids and a monoglyceride. So the monoglyceride goes to the liver to be further degraded, while many of the circulating free fatty acids are taken up and stored by fat cells. So when carbohydrates are consumed, insulin is released, as we went over, and insulin stimulates these fat cells to re-esterify the fatty acids into triglycerides. So basically, that step that your body just did to break them down, when you have carbs, when the insulin's present, that goes back, and you have the triglycerides and your body stores them as fat. Now, that is part of why we see diets cutting either low carb or low fat, because if you have a lot of fat and a lot of carbs, you get this response and your body stores fat. That's why even when you're trying to gain muscle, you got to be careful. You don't want to overeat still. You need to eat for your body's needs and a little more, as opposed to just binging on junk food all the time, because that combination of fats and carbs together, the simple carbs, the ones that the sugars, the ones that really hit that insulin response, when you have those with the fats, that's what causes the fat storage. Woo! Dr. Dumbbell needs to... I'm not a doctor. Alright. So, the fatty acids, these long-chain fatty acids, which make up pretty much about all of the fats in general, go through what's called a Carnitine Shuttle. This is what carries the fats through your body and potentially into the mitochondria, the powerhouse of the cell.
But you're not a doctor.
But I'm not a doctor. What's that one video? But I'm not a rapper. So basically, the Carnitine Shuttle, there's this long process with it, and this is kind of why you'll see people supplement with carnitine. The idea is to provide, more of a Carnitine Shuttle for these fats to be taken to the mitochondria and burned up as energy. So the problem is that I'm not a doctor. But the other problem, the problem is that the enzymes responsible for oxidizing these fatty acids are located inside the mitochondria themselves. So fatty acids can't get in the mitochondria, they can't be burned for energy. So it's again, the carnitine shuttle is important to get them in there to be burned for energy. The problem is when you consume a lot of fat, consume certain fats, if your body, if the carnitine shuttle, can't get it all there into the mitochondria, it's gonna get stored as fat. So generally speaking, odds are your fat's not gonna get used for fuel because of the fact that your body uses carbohydrates for fuel before it uses fat for fuel. Now, the simplest way to look at this is that, your fat, 1 gram of fat, you got 9 calories, but in a gram of carbs, but in 1 gram of carbohydrate, you just have 4 calories. And in general, the body will use carbohydrate fuels first and store fat as an energy reserve, aka body fat, adipose tissue. But I'm not a doctor. So the reason for this is, fat, a gram of fat, got 9 calories, a gram of carbohydrate, you've got 4 calories. Easy to break down. And along with that, fat does not require water for storage like the carbohydrate does. So it's easier for your body to store the fat because it takes more to break it down. Whereas the carbohydrates, it takes less to break it down, so it's not gonna store it as often. It's just gonna use it for fuel first. So the carnitine shuttle, how your body transports fat into the mitochondria to be used for fuel, is not active if carbohydrates are available because the carbohydrate metabolism generates a certain compound that will inhibit the carnitine shuttle from bringing fat into the mitochondria. So that's the importance of mentioning the carnitine shuttle, is that it doesn't really occur when carbohydrates are present. Going back to when I mentioned that eating a lot of carbs and a lot of fats together can be bad, that's, in detail why that's the case. So the general summary is, just to overview fats, your body uses the carnitine shuttle to get them to your body to hopefully be used as energy, but the issue is carbs get used as energy before your fats. So ideally, if you're trying to lose weight or maintain, you want to keep the excess fats low, but you do need some fats, and how we choose those fats is important. Alright, so about the types of fat you can choose. So I'm not a doctor, but I know this is saturated fat. So what you see is the big old chain we talked about, and then at the end you've got your little group there, your carboxyl group, I think it's called. Double check that. I'll put the word up on the screen in case I am misremembering my chemistry knowledge or lack thereof. So some sources of saturated fat. There's dairy, there's pork, there's fattier cuts of beef, and certain oils like coconut oil or MCT oil. Now MCT oil is the exception I was talking about earlier, where some are a little more water soluble than others. MCT stands for medium chain triglyceride, so as opposed to such a long chain on this fat, it's a little shorter. It's just a little shorter, Sometimes that happens. But they're primarily derived from coconut oil itself. And so the benefit of these shorter chains is that they bypass the carnitine shuttle in your body. So when you consume them, your body can use them for fuel in the presence of carbohydrates, and they can have a carbohydrate sparing effect, which in short would pretty much allow you to keep the glycogen stores full instead of having to use them as energy. So some benefits of saturated fat. The main thing is they are necessary for brain and hormonal function. So you need some fats. In general, saturated fats would be the ones that help with keeping your testosterone levels right, helping with your brain's hormonal responses, stuff like that. A lot of hormonal related stuff. You got to keep that endocrine system in check. And as I also mentioned, the MPC oil, which is a saturated fat technically, can also have the benefits of sparing the carbohydrate fuel in your body and using the oil as the fuel instead. Monounsaturated fat. I'm not a doctor, but I know it looks like this. So the difference that you saw from the saturated fat to the monounsaturated fat is that we've got a double bond somewhere in this chain. That's just the structural difference. So these sources would be olive oil, nuts, avocado. Obviously, these aren't all the sources. These are just some main primary ones. Monounsaturated fat is beneficial for balancing out your good and bad cholesterol, and it can help reduce the risk of cardiovascular disease, and has also been associated with lower cancer risk. So polyunsaturated fat. It's this. I'm not a doctor, but I see that as a double bond. It can have just two, it can have more than two, but the big difference is the saturated, monounsaturated, polyunsaturated is just the number of double bonds. So now you can sound cool in front of your friends. Tell them you learned it from Doctor Dumbbell, who is not a real doctor. Polyunsaturated fats can be found in fish, nuts, seeds, and certain oils. Like I said, not all the sources, but some of them. And the biggest part is that the essential fatty acids, which are the omega-3 and omega-6, are polyunsaturated fats. So getting them from your fish or your fish oils is super duper important because your body cannot create them itself. They're called essential because you need to have them in your diet. They've got similar benefits to the monounsaturated that they're heart healthy and they have been associated with lower risk of cancer. And I think I covered everything I need to. All right, so if you want to learn more about this, also got this some of this information from John Perlow's website. There's a big old PDF in there, and at the very end of it, there's a lot about fats and how your body works with them, and it goes really, really in depth on MCT oil, which is his top product. And it's kind of the one he pioneered. So big shout out to that man. And if you want to learn more about these specific fats, just a quick search will tell you sources you can get them from, some of the benefits of it. And if you have any questions for me, let me know down in the comments. Remember, I'm not a doctor, but my name is Dr. Dumbbell. I will reveal my middle name in a future video. And there may be some name change on the horizon. Lots, legal trouble. It's the whole having the first name doctor talking about science kind of gets you. There might be a change. So hope you all liked the video. Be sure to comment and subscribe below. These Walden sports nutrition guys seem pretty cool. I'm not a doctor, but I trust them.